Hello, beautiful. Welcome back to my channel where we talk all things spirituality, inner work, healing journey, mindset, confidence, and everything in between. This is a video today that I am so excited to film for a few different reasons. Number one, I feel like we're not really given emotional education. I know for myself, I was not raised in a home that understood emotions or how to respond to our emotions or how to work with our emotions in a healthy way. And I know that it's not something that's taught in school, and it's such a vital piece of knowledge for all of us to have. The second reason is because I myself have struggled with a lot of anger in my life. And I want to be clear. Anger is a very normal emotion. I try not to look at anger or sadness, right? Any of those kind of like lower vibe emotions. I try not to look at them as good emotions or bad emotions. I think they are just emotions. But I definitely grew up around a lot of emotion, and the adults in my home didn't really know how to display healthy emotion. And that's something that I saw at a really young age. I grew up in a home that was full of reactions and anger and aggression. Growing up, I knew that that didn't feel right. I know it didn't feel safe, but as a young adult, when I stepped into my high school, college years, I had no idea how to look at anger or other emotions. So this is a skill that I really taught myself based off of leaning on different resources out there and experiencing it and healing through my own emotions and processing my own trauma that brought up different emotions. So I feel really, really honored to sit in this space today and to show you how to start controlling your own emotions. Here's the thing about anger. If you struggle with feeling anger, especially if you feel anger more than any other emotion, it is such a challenging emotion to work through. It feels heavy. It feels like it honestly like sucks the life out of you. And depending on how you deal with your emotions, for me, mine was to, for a while, suppress it. And then when I would suppress, I would completely react. If you struggle with your emotion in that way, it can also really make you feel like a monster. I felt like a really scary person when I had so much anger and I had no idea what to do with it. And I know that there are people that looked at me as a monster, or like I was crazy, or like I was just like a really angry, mad person, when that truly wasn't the case. It really was as simple as I had a lot of unprocessed trauma that I never worked through, that I held on to until my adult years. Before we get into how to control your anger, I first want to share some super powerful mindset shifts and perspectives that completely changed the way that I looked at anger. So let's get into it. The biggest thing that I want you to understand about your anger and any other emotion is that there is no good or bad. It can feel really easy to feel shame and to get a lot of hate from people when you do express yourself in an angry way, or when you feel angry or sad. Society definitely tells us that we should look down on those emotions and they're bad to experience. And when people are feeling those, then they're bad vibe, right? Like there's so much that goes into it. But really all emotions is a green light and a red light. So for the negative, low vibe emotions like anger, that is something that I look at as a red light emotion. And for the emotions like happiness, I look at that as a green light. So when you're on the road, if you see a green light, you keep going in that direction. If you're on the road and you see a red light, you stop. And that is what anger is to me. Anger is just a red light. It's a red stop sign telling you to stop. There's something going on within you that should not be going on, and that you need to stop and assess the situation. It really can be as simple as that. You don't have to bring the shame and this guilt and all of these low vibe feelings that make you just feel so bad about yourself. You don't have to bring that into the space. You can feel anger and use it as a red light, and it gives you the ability to calm that situation down so you can get back on the road and head towards the green lights. So that's the first mindset shift, is I really want you to stop looking at anger as a bad thing and start looking at it as just a sign. The second mindset shift and perspective shift that I want you to have here is that you can control your emotions. And that may trigger you. I know it triggered me, and I know it triggers others, but it's the truth. And on this channel, we keep it real, so I'm gonna keep it real with you. you are fully in control of your anger. Now, you may not be in control of the outside circumstances that trigger that anger within you, but you are in control of how you move forward with that emotion. My last mindset shift and perspective change that I want to talk to you about is you could definitely start looking at anger as a form of self-love. Okay, I know I'm not trying to make anger sound like all butterflies and rainbows, but the fact of the matter is that a lot of the times when you feel anger, it's coming from a space of being angry that your needs are not being met, that somebody is treating you in a way that doesn't make you feel good. It is once again an alarm. It is a red light telling you that something is happening within that's making you feel unsafe. That's all it is. Also, anger can come from this feeling of just being powerless. So maybe it triggers you and takes you back to a traumatic experience that you've had in your life. There are many reasons for anger, but one of my favorites is to really boil it down to an act of self-love and a sign that your needs are not being met. Okay, I hope that those mindset shifts and new perspectives were new and interesting for you. I really think that they're going to help you get through the rest of this video and also just look at your emotions in your life differently. Also, a little bonus one that I have to throw out there: anger is not a space for beating yourself up. Anger is a space for self-compassion. So let's get into how to control your anger. Okay, so if you consider yourself to be an angry person, or you are considered an angry person, or you tend to feel anger a lot, you know how people will be like, you shouldn't be reacting like that. Think before you speak. It's really hard to think before you rage or think before you react to something, because this anger just comes up inside of you and it's almost like you just like black out or see red, and you really don't have the time. Like, you don't know how to think before you speak. And that is step number one. Observe your anger. So the biggest, most important step to start taking today, if you really want to control your anger, is to notice what anger feels like in your body. Notice when the anger arises. Notice what this anger really feels like. So really take an inventory on what the anger feels like and looks like in your body. This is helpful because it actually allows you to think before you speak, because the way that we're going to be able to think before we speak when it comes to our anger is by understanding what the physical, mental, emotional reactions are before the full-on reaction hits. So what we want to do here is understand what anger feels like in the body, so you're actually able to catch the pause before you speak. This really is as simple as the next time you know that you feel anger, I want you to stop and observe, where are you feeling this anger in your body? For me, I get very hot immediately and my stomach literally starts to turn. I also feel immediate heaviness in my shoulders and my neck. It starts to ache. Like, even talking about it, I'm like getting, ooh, I'm feeling it right now. Not that I'm feeling anger, but I'm just feeling like the sensations of where I typically do feel anger. So the point is you want to understand the signs of the anger. Step two is to calm down and to take space for yourself. I used to be somebody who, when I would get angry, I wanted to go at it right now, right then and there. I had things to say. I wanted to confront the situation. And honestly, I always used to get super frustrated by people who were like, I don't want to talk about this right now. Let me cool off. Let me get space. I would actually go and I would attack that person and make them talk to me when I wanted, because I felt unsafe in that space and I felt like I needed to get out everything that I needed to say. Now, what I do is calm myself down by saying, hey, I need a minute. I'm really upset about this. I just need a minute to process how I'm feeling. If you're with somebody else, take that moment and communicate it nicely that you're feeling angry and you need to take some space to yourself really quickly. And if there's somebody like who I used to be that comes at you and forces you to communicate, literally walk out of the room. Obviously, if this is situational, I don't know what you're working through and the external circumstances that are happening, but do your best to just isolate and get to a space where you're able to be within your own energy and not having anything else impact you. With that, the next step is to either go ahead and get some sort of physical movement, so go move your body, or take some deep breaths. breaths. Honestly, both are great here. If you're gonna prioritize one, please prioritize the deep breaths. It can be as simple as turning on your favorite meditation, just Googling a quick meditation for anger. I'm sure that they have those, or just a general meditation. Or it could be as simple as 3 to 5 deep breaths. So that looks a little like in through your nose, out through your mouth. Let it all go. And do that a few times. Make sure you're closing your eyes. The reason why I love this is because it really keeps you in the present moment. And that's the same for breath work. There are great apps for that, as well as YouTube videos for that too. But anytime I do breath work, I am literally forced to be in the present moment because I have to keep up with counts on my breath. So doing something to get you into the present moment and to actually be within your body. At the same time, we're calming our nervous system, which when we're angry, our nervous system is unregulated, and think of it as it like rattling inside of you, and it has to get out its energy. And the way to do that is through movement, through breath work, through meditation, to get out that pent up energy outside of you. The 5th step is to go inward. So once again, this depends on circumstances, but what I'm recommending you do is to grab a journal and really figure out and process why you felt angry. Observe who you're around, the environment you were in, observe if there's something earlier in the day that maybe you suppressed that emotion and didn't let it out, so then it came out on somebody else, right? Is it resentment that's coming from somewhere? Really dig in and give yourself the space in a safe, comfortable space where you can really go within and reflect on why you're feeling angry. This is the biggest thing that I never used to do. I just used to say, okay, I'm angry, and I'd be okay with that, and I'd let it fester and fester until I just honestly became an angry person. And that is not the thing to do. What we want to do is we want to work through our shit. We want to work through it. You know why? Because we can. And it is going to help us to live a more peaceful, manageable, happy life. And that is the goal, right? So it is up to you, and it is your responsibility to go within and to ask yourself the hard questions. Now, what you may find is that this can get pretty deep. And this is healing. This is the healing work. Going within and figuring out why this anger is coming up for you, how it's making you feel, wondering and questioning if it's something that you felt previously in your life that was a traumatic experience. Get curious about where this anger is coming from. And this will help you with step 6, which is to find a solution. How are you going to feel better from this moment? By this point, you should already feel a little bit more regulated, and your nerves should be going down a little bit. Now you're in the space where we can come up with next steps and solutions to actually make sure that this anger doesn't arise from the same situation again. That's all we're doing here. Because a lot of the times with anger, if we don't figure out the root of the anger and come up with solutions to actually move forward in a happier energy, that it just continues to happen. It's like a big cycle of despair. So we want to make sure that not only are we digging to the root to figure out the why, the what, the how, the when, the where, but we're also figuring out how to shift moving forward. And next time when we're faced with the same circumstance, how we're going to move forward the next time. This is the tools. These are the tools that will help you live a happy life. If you're somebody who tends to hold a grudge or avoids or suppresses your emotions, I want you to ask yourself, how is that working for me? And if you're watching this video, it might not be working for you that well. So this is a great opportunity to shift the way that you've been doing life and the way that you've been handling your anger. The next thing I want to hit on is not necessarily a step, but when it comes to solutions, one thing that might come up for you is that you may need to start creating some boundaries in your life. If you're not familiar with boundaries, essentially boundaries are a way to make sure that your needs are met and that you feel safe and protected. It's kind of like a little bit of a wall, although I don't like to say that because then I feel like a wall just feels so heavy, but it is kind of a way for you to just make sure that your basic needs are getting met and that you feel safe in the people, rooms, and environments that you're in. So assess your relationships, assess what made you angry, and if it's a situation where maybe someone is invalidating you, making fun of you, tearing you down, it's very likely that there needs to be a boundary drawn out there. I will be creating videos on boundaries in the future, so make sure that you subscribe so you can stay in the loop with all of my teachings, because boundaries is truly my favorite topic and it's changed my life. By this point, you should be feeling so much better. The blood pressure should have gone down. You should be able to think and see things very clearly. And what I want you to end with is a little bit of self-compassion and a lot of it of gratitude. I know for me, when I used to get angry, I was so insecure because I felt like I couldn't control my anger and that I was constantly hurting myself or hurting other people. And that caused me to give myself backlash. That caused me to judge myself and tell myself that I'm an angry person, I'm out of control, I'm never gonna be happy, and this is why I don't have friends, or this is why I'm always in fights with people. Whatever it was for me, I would make sure that I was the first one to bash myself. And this is not a space for you to bash yourself. And I really, really, really want you to know that. You are beautiful. Clearly, you want to take control of your life and your anger, and you can do that. In fact, you are meant to do that, because if you weren't meant to do that, you wouldn't be here. So give yourself some slack and show yourself some love. I'm not saying don't hold yourself accountable, but let it be a blend of holding yourself accountable while holding your hand and giving yourself a hug through the process of figuring it out. This is not common knowledge that is talked about. This is something that you have to really go seek out or to have experienced through a healthy family that handles emotions healthily to be able to know what to do. It's not your fault that you don't know how to handle your emotions. It's not. So stop being so hard on yourself and give yourself a hug. And at the end of all of these steps, I want you to thank yourself for taking the time and the space to really show up for yourself and to make true change in your life. And show gratitude in whatever way that looks like for you. If you can just think about how grateful you are for your life, or for a certain person, or for your animal, or for the breath that you have, or maybe you can feel such gratitude for being able to look at anger differently, to actually have the opportunity to work through your anger, right? There are so many things that you can be grateful for. I would recommend just taking a little bit of time to think about that before you re-enter a room. So that, my love, are all of my steps on how to control your anger. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that this video helped you. This has truly changed my life, and I hope that it changes yours too. If you like what you heard today, and if you want to keep learning more and continue on the journey of healing and inner work together, definitely be sure to subscribe. If you don't already know, I do have an anonymous advice page that is linked in this video. So if I can support you in any way, if you're working through anything and you need some help, be sure to pull up that form, let me know what you're working through, and I will work to build some content around it for you. So once again, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time and energy. I'm sending you so much love, and remember, you have control. You are so powerful. I'm sending you all the love.